Hello and welcome back. We now begin the fourth book of the 5 books of Moses of the Torah, the book of Bamidbar, the book of Numbers. And of course, as the name suggests, this is the book, and particularly the first portion, where we are counted. We have the instruction, God gives the instruction to Moshe, to Moses, and he says, Su'u as Roish B'nai Yisrael. What you shall do is you shall count, you shall take a census of the entire assembly of the children of Israel. Take a census and count the Jewish people. Now everybody knows that we are not permitted generally to count the Jewish people, and the simple reason for that is because we're not a people of numbers necessarily. We believe in not quantity but quality, and counting would imply that somehow there is strength in numbers, when of course we know our strength has never been in numbers. So why is it therefore that here, and in fact a number of other times as well, but here we have an instruction to Moshe to count the Jewish people? Now there were a number of reasons for this. There was a practical reason. You need to know how many people there are in order to know how many people to provide for. But there was also a deeper reason over here, a very powerful reason, and a powerful insight and meaning to the purpose of counting the Jewish people at this particular time. By counting the Jewish people, the message that was being given is that we are all part of a number. There is a number. There is a significance in the number to show us that each and every one of us counts. Every single person is part of that complete number. We make up part of that complete number, i.e. we count, we matter. And therefore what we're trying to ensure that is happening over here, and what the Torah is ensuring happens, what Hashem is ensuring happens by the Jewish people being counted at this particular point, is knowing that ultimately we can make a difference. We can tip the balance. We need to ensure that we see ourselves as having a part to play in the whole, not to just say that we are insignificant, but to look at the world as if it is on a 50-50 balance, and that our little action can tip the scales, as Maimonides says, can tip the scales one way or the other, and we can tip it for the good, or unfortunately not for the good. And therefore knowing that yes, we may be one small one, but we matter. We have a significant part to play in the role and the future of the Jewish people. Our action, our good deed, could be the one that tips the balance for the entire number, for the entire Jewish people. That is the way we need to see ourselves. The counting gives us a value, gives us a sense of significance, and that's why Hashem counts us, although we ourselves don't usually count the Jewish people, because, as I said earlier, we don't want to show that we rely on numbers. But Hashem is telling us, you are a number. Each and every one of us is a part of that whole. The verse then continues to tell us that we should count them how? Lemishbechoisam leveis avoisam b'mispar shemois, according to their families, according to their father's household, by number of the names. What the verse is telling us here is something very, very important, very powerful. Lemishbechoisam leveis avoisam, according to their families, according to their households, b'mispar shemois, by the number of names. The Torah is telling us what is it that ensured that the Jewish people knew at this point what their household was and what their family were. In Egypt, they managed to maintain their identity. They managed to retain their household. They knew who they were, which household they belonged to. They didn't assimilate, even though they were there in slavery for hundreds of years. The Torah is telling us how was that possible? B'mispar shemois, by the number of names. Because they retained their identity by having their names. We know that that was one of the 3 things that the Jewish people kept, or that, as they were then a tribe, a family really, they kept within Egypt, was their Hebrew names. By keeping their Hebrew names, they managed to retain their identity, to know which family they belonged to. And through b'mispar shemois, through by the number of names, by counting their names throughout history, that's how the Jewish people helped to maintain their identity, helped to maintain and ensure that they didn't assimilate into being like the Egyptians, like the non-Jewish world that was at the time. The names, our Hebrew and Jewish names, are very, very important and significant in helping us maintain and retain our identity. Then we have later on, a couple of verses later, that Moshe was told he was going to have help. He wasn't going to do this on his own, he was going to have help. There was an individual from each tribe that was going to be chosen. And it tells us about, gives us the names of these individuals, but the Torah says, Ish Roish Lebeis Avosav Hu. That each of these people were a man from each tribe, of course, but one man from each tribe, a man who is a leader of his father's household. Ish Roish Lebeis Avosav Hu, a man who is a leader of his father's household. And this means, there is the story of two people who are in dispute. They're having a bit of an argument, and one of them says to the other, look, you're not don't have so much yichus, you don't come from a family that has a great tradition, a great family, you don't have any yichus. And the other one responds and says to him, yes, it may be true that you have yichus and I don't, but the difference is the yichus stops by you because of the way you're acting. At least with me, the yichus is beginning with me and I'm starting the yichus from myself. It's a very powerful lesson as well. That what the Torah is telling us here is that each and every one of these people that were chosen was somebody who was suitable, was such a great level that it was suitable for him to be the beginning of the yichus, so to speak, the heritage, the great tradition of family that he will begin. And so these were the individuals that were chosen to help Moshe in counting the tribes. Even the counting was done through very special people. Much later on, we are told about the encampment, the way in which the people traveled in the desert. They traveled by having a formation of tribes, 4 camps, each surrounding the tabernacle that was in the desert. And each one of those groups on either side had a leader, and they each had flags. They had a degel, they had a flag that had their representative symbol on it, and there was a group on each side that traveled in that way, and they journeyed together in formation. When we look at the list of tribes, one tribe stands out, and that is the tribe of Zevulun. It says Matei Zevulun, the tribe of Zevulun. Now the reason why it stands out is because by the others it says Umate, and the tribe, when it's talking about the head tribe, and then the others that are with it, it says and the tribe of whichever one it is. When it comes to Zevulun, who are with the tribe of Yehuda, were leading that group, and the tribe of Yisachar, it doesn't say and the tribe of Zevulun, just simply says tribe of Zevulun, as if to single them out specially. And the reason for that is the following. The tribe of Zevulun had a very important role. They had an arrangement and an agreement with the tribe of Yisachar. The tribe of Yisachar traditionally were the tribe who sat and studied Torah. How did they support themselves if they sat and studied Torah? Zevulun, who were business people, who when they were on the coast, their portion in the land of Israel was on the coast, and therefore they had a lot of trade and a lot of money, they supported and funded Yisachar to sit and study Torah. And so great was their reward that they, the tribe of Zevulun, were considered to be just as important as the tribe of Yisachar. Because there could be a feeling that the tribe of Zevulun were of a lesser significance. They didn't study Torah, they were just business people. But ultimately the Torah is telling us, Matei Zevulun, the tribe of Zevulun stood in its own right, not just secondary and the tribe of Zevulun, as if they're secondary to the tribe of Yisachar, but no, they are just as equal to the head of that group and the tribe of Yisachar, to say that the funding and the sponsoring of Torah study is equal to Torah study itself. And this is of course an arrangement which is still in existence today. There are individuals and groups of individuals who have an arrangement, and anybody that funds Torah study gets the reward as if they had studied the Torah themselves, and it is counted as if they study the Torah and they get that reward. Thank you as ever for watching, and do of course share this with your family and friends.